My guest today is a former Arizona State basketball player who certainly made her mark in Tempe. She earned first team Pac 10 all academic honors twice and helped the Sun Devils make the NCAA tournament in 2001 and 2002. Leah Roop. Leah, such an honor to be talking with you right now. And as you know, I mean, it's a very exciting time for ASU women's basketball right now. Molly Miller recently hired as the new head coach. Just from your perspective and what you've seen from her, what does she bring to this program?
Wow. In just, I don't know her personally or prior to this news, but what I've seen, she is everything that epitomizes women's basketball for ASU. Everything that I remember from my coach, Charlie Turner Thorne, just complete energy and passion, and the good kind of energy and passion. And it really excites me that she's now leading the program. It feels just exciting to want to take my three kids back to, we live out here in Indiana, but it excites me to get back there. I feel like she's just going to take this program to even greater heights than it's ever seen. She's just full of, I guess, energy and passion. Those are the two words that come to mind when I think of her. And man, one of the things that Charlie always taught us was to find a way. And Molly Miller seems like a find a way kind of person, that they're going to find a way to win and win big.
I mean, like you were saying, I love the passion that she's showing, the energy that she has for ASU. And she's been out at a lot of the sports events already, interacting with the community.
Yeah.
And it's just so great to see that she's just, she's all in.
Yes, yes. And obviously she's a proven winner, which is really exciting. But I think what I'm gathering too is she's not just helping them win on the court. She's helping those ladies win in life. And so that's really exciting to see a coach that um, really values the full student athlete. I'm really excited for the people that are going to get to play for her.
So, I want to get into a bit of your background now. Let's talk about some of your high school days at
Oh,
Esperanza High School.
oh goodness. You
Yeah,
probably know
yeah,
more than I do.
yeah. Going back in time here, getting in the DeLorean, I guess. But you finished, and this is so cool. You finished as the all-time leading scorer and rebounder by the end of your career there. Uh,
Oh,
what would you say are just some of your favorite memories that you have from
my
high
goodness.
school?
Wow, I wasn't expecting high school questions. My goodness. I had coaches and my teammates obviously have always meant the world to me. So I first think of my coach, um, Mark Hill. He's spelled M-A-R-C, Mark Hill. And he was the first gentleman. His daughter and I were the same age. So we played on some travel teams together. But I also got to have my first kind of private coaching experience with him. And he just took me out to the asphalt at the local junior high. And he taught me the up and under move, where you just turn, face the basket, pump fake, and go up and under. And it became kind of like my bread and butter signature move as a post. And I'll forever be grateful for learning that move. But really, it's also, I just had a great, upstanding, moral, awesome coach in him. And he led our program so faithfully and honorably. And then highlights of that. I remember finishing out. I haven't thought about this in so long. You're bringing back so many memories. Um, Highlights my senior year. I think we had won the Sunset League and we progressed in the CIF. And we didn't win our last game. I don't remember if it was the quarterfinals or semifinals, but I remember it being a very exciting team for both or game for both teams. The other team was incredible. I think we went into maybe, I'd have to fact check all this, but maybe an overtime or maybe even two overtimes. And it was neat. Even the other team's parents were almost congratulating us. It's like we had won. We totally lost, but it's like we had won. And it was a really sweet way to finish out the high school career, just with a bunch of girls I'd been basically growing up with and been on the team with for almost 4 years. A few of us got to all start at B together as freshmen. So yeah, I'm sorry. I hope that was an okay answer.
Absolutely, 100%. Just kind of going off that, in what ways would you say that your high school experience kind of prepared you going into your college career?
Hmm. Um, I feel like I wasn't one of those fancy players. People back in the day could do, everybody does it now, but I definitely couldn't dunk or behind the back or anything fancy. At the time, I didn't even shoot a three-pointer yet. That didn't come until after college overseas. But my coach and at that time just taught really good fundamentals like boxing out and just the details to shooting and form shooting, and really paying attention, just doing the little things right. And I was like, I can do that. I was 6'2", so I'm 6'2". I haven't changed heights, but I wasn't huge. I didn't have the handles at the time to be a guard, but I felt like um, what I took from high school was just doing the little things right and doing them well and with excellence. And they could be really basic, like boxing out, I said, and just that grit, really going hard every day, and just even if it didn't turn out your way, just doing it fully and with excellence. And so I think that translated well at ASU. I did have an opportunity to start my freshman year, and that was my goal. I had a role. Charlie was very good about giving people their roles. And I think having those fundamentals and being fundamentally sound helped me just do the very best I could for our team and for her. I hope that so embarrassed. I'm sorry. Um, yeah, I think those would be, yeah, just doing the little things right. That's what I would go with.
And you certainly just accomplished a lot in high school, and you had options, when it came to going to college. You had some different options, but what was it
Hmm.
specifically about ASU and Charlie's vision that like
Goodness.
made you want to come here?
Well, I do want to just share this one little fun fact um, about Charlie. Um, I think at the time my parents were so sweet and like saved all the little letters, the recruiting letters from back in the day. And I I think it was like 60 colleges, and you could have I don't know if the rules have changed, but you could have home visits. And my poor parents, I just loved so many coaches and enjoyed getting to know about their programs. And I think in the month of September, my parents, they hosted like 16 different college visits where the coaches come into the home, and it was a really sweet time. But I know that must have been stressful for them being a parent now and hosting all those. But Charlie, I'll never forget. I think the first day they were able to call student athletes back then, 100 years ago, it feels so long ago. Her voice. So maybe there's a similarity with Coach Molly Miller. I'll never forget picking up the phone and hearing her voice. And it was just this, her raspy, awesome voice. It's just like, hi. And right there, I was like, I'm sold. I mean, just the energy and passion, even in a phone call. That's what stood out among all the rest. And I have wonderful things to say about all the other coaches, but um, it's like she almost won me over from hello. And it just, you can't not be around her and get fired up, right? I think she could get people to run through walls for her, so that stood out. And then ASU, primarily as a school, aside from Charlie, there were three things I happened to be looking for. And it may seem a little elementary, but I had the three C's for myself. I was looking for a strong, um, just moral coach, and really someone that would be like a mother figure to me for those 4 years I would be away from home. And not that I was never homesick or anything like that. I knew this person I'd be spending a lot of time with this individual, and a lot of their values, you know what I mean, I think would be imparted on you. And I just really, yeah, I had the coach was a big deal. And then um, the other one was communications. I had already known that I'd want to get into a communications program. So some of the schools, if they were strong, obviously the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism at the time, that was a big pull. So the communications factor. And then also, I'm a Christian, and so one of the things for me was having an awesome, whether it was an FCA or whatever community it looked like, just a strong Christian community to grow and thrive in with other athletes was big. So yeah, those were my three C's, and ASU had all of them.
When you like first arrived at at ASU, and so like it's like your first kind of couple times on campus, just what were your first impressions like?
Oh goodness. So I guess that would be on the recruiting trip was my very first encounter, and just um, I remember, I think, well, I remember just getting picked up from the airport. The A Mountain is so unique. I feel like it's just such, that's the first thing you see driving in. And um, gosh, I just remember seeing the facilities and seeing other athletes, and just, and really meeting could be my future teammates. Um, and it just, that's one beautiful thing about teams is like your instant family. And so I just, everything was great. I mean, I'm trying to think of things. Everything was great from the person that picked me up, Carrie Shiverdecker, to, um, just, I remember when we got to tour. It's different now, but the Sun Devil Stadium was neat to see. Everything was great to see. And I could really envision a life there for sure. And going back to FCA, got to meet with people like Mike Sanfrantello and Brian Beltramo, who just led a great FCA program there, and just the other student athletes that were already a part of that program. It was just a really neat community that I knew would be another great facet to my college life there.
I thought it was cool that you mentioned A Mountain because I've always thought that was so cool, and I remember when I was first visiting ASU, and I thought it was on, and the first thing that stuck out to me was, whoa, the football stadium is like on this mountain. Like how
Yes,
neat is
yeah.
that?
Yes, yes. It's awesome. We used to have to run that. I don't know if they do any conditioning work up there anymore, but the steep part, we used to have to run that for to get in shape for for workouts. But
Oh wow.
yeah, so good and bad memories. No, I'm just joking. It was good. All of it was good.
Yeah, yeah, certainly. I thought this was super cool. In 1999, so you and the team got to travel to Australia for
Yes.
some games. Gosh, what were some of your favorite things to do in Australia?
Yes, that's right. That was after my freshman year. And I even remember two incoming freshmen, I think, paid their own way to be on that trip as well. So it was just talk about family, like paying your way to even be a part of the team ahead of time. That was awesome. I think about that trip all the time. My favorite things, I mean, aside from basketball, obviously we competed almost every other day, but we were able to go play in Sydney and Melbourne, and we learned how to say cans. It's spelled Cairns, but cans. Um, and Charlie let us go on our own one day, and I rented a moped by myself and drove it to like this zoo that you could actually, we had done the zoo as, a bond team bonding and all that, I think in Sydney or Melbourne. But I got to go to this special zoo out there. I think it was in Cairns that you could actually walk among the animals. It's pretty crazy. But I remember I did that by myself. And I remember my teammate Teresa and I think I had goat cheese for the first time on pizza over there, but just everything is, that's the beauty of athletics, I think, is um, you remember a lot of the games and you remember some things like that, but not every detail, but you definitely remember the journey and the feeling of being with your teammates on those trips. And um, that was a really, really sweet trip. And it landed, it's a fun fact to say, that's another continent, right? To be able to play on. So when I homeschool our three kids. And so I can say, mommy's played on four continents, thanks to Australia. So yeah.
I was able to look through one of the like media guides from back then, and there are photos from that trip, and like there's like for example, I found a photo of the team, and you guys are like white water rafting,
Oh my goodness, I forgot about that. Yes, yes. And I remember Charlie's husband Will was on that trip and they would pull him up for something to do. It was really, there's so many great memories. That's right. You you reminded me of that whitewater rafting. And the Sydney Opera House, I remember getting close to that. That was magnificent. Yep.
Another memorable thing you got to take part in, you played in this famous game against Tennessee. This was in 2000 at, well, it's now Chase Field, but back then it was Bank One Ballpark,
Mhm.
where the D-backs play.
That's right.
Gosh, what do you remember from that game?
Oh my goodness. That is such a special game. I remember we were raising awareness for breast cancer. Charlie had had a contact. It was it was in December. I remember it was actually cold because we played the ballpark. They had opened the roof and we got to play under the stars. And it was freezing though. You don't think of Arizona as being cold. I do remember it may be, I never know stats and I never know like minutes played or anything like that. But I remember it might be one of the times I've played the most minutes because whenever you got on the bench, you had to put mittens on and it was too cold to sit on the bench. So you wanted to be in the game. Um, I do remember a sad fact. I do believe we lost by 4 points. And I believe I missed the front end of a one-on-one. And so I feel very responsible for half of those 4 points that we lost by. But wow, to be, I mean, playing against Pat Summit and that whole crew. And fast forward, this is just a fun fact. One of the gals that we played against, her name's April. Um, McDivitt is her playing name that she would have played under. She was Miss Indiana basketball, but she had played there during that time. So fast forward, we both lived in Indiana at the same time and got to connect. And it's like, it's fun. You can see we're like on a poster together. Just an incredible game. At the time, I feel like it was a pretty large crowd. Again, this is quite a few years ago, but for women's basketball, it was maybe in the, I don't know, 16,000, which is not a huge number in these times. But back then it felt like a big crowd to play in front of. And yeah, again, to be playing at a baseball stadium, it was pretty awesome.
It's so
Yeah.
interesting how in life how things can kind of come back around like later on,
Yes.
because that's happened to me a
Yes.
couple times, and it's just so interesting when you get to like either reconnect with people or like just stuff like that. It's pretty
Yes.
amazing, right? I mean, gosh.
Well, and just I can't remember if we spoke about this earlier, but I did attend a Fever game here for our anniversary in August, and Tamika Catchings was also on that same team when we played them at the ballpark. And so I got to just walk up and give her a hug, and we took a picture together. But she was also on that team. I forgot about that. So you reminded me of that. So I just got to see her in August. Yeah, I love athletics is such a small world too, not just in women's basketball, but it is such a fun world.
Are there any other games like games or moments, from your time at ASU that like stick out to you the most in terms of like on court action?
Ooh, yes. And I'm sorry if I get any of the facts wrong, but in my memory, it was I think my junior year, I believe, I think we may have tied with Stanford and Washington as like the overall Pac-10 conference champions. But my senior year in 2002, I believe it was the inaugural Pac-10 Women's Conference tournament. The women hadn't had a tournament before, and I believe my senior year was their very first, and it was hosted in Eugene. And I loved playing. At least back then, we played on MacArthur Court. It was one of those old school gyms in Eugene, Oregon, and um, I just remember, I believe everyone thought Stanford was going to win it all, and we happened to win it. I don't know if ASU's won it since, but in 2002 we were the inaugural Pac-10 tourney champions, and I believe they gave us all hats and shirts that were more cardinal and gold, like thinking Stanford was going to win. Gosh, I don't want to name names without naming everyone on the team, but Amanda Levins, gosh, she should have been the MVP. I think they gave it to a Stanford, a Stanford girl, but the team was just awesome, and we won, and it's just a really special memory. It was just a neat court to play on. It was fun to be part of something that was new and had just started, and it was fun to be able to compete well on behalf of ASU.
What would you say were your favorite things to do, maybe in like your free time, just like kind of around Tempe and around
Oh,
campus?
oh goodness. Okay. Um, to just be really forthright, I was pretty nerdy, so I did a lot of studying. I was at the libraries a lot. Um, and it seemed like in the training room. Um, I feel like we didn't have that much free time. I remember, well, I tell people this, I haven't seen the Grand Canyon yet. So that's something to go see. But free time, it would have just been hanging out with teammates, really, and um, church. I loved going to church. Some of my teammates and we'd go to church together. And really FCA, I know I've mentioned that already, but I can't remember if that was on Monday nights or Wednesday nights, but always made time for that. That was just a really neat group of just iron sharpening iron. Trying to think. Yeah, just really just spending time with teammates, just casually, just in our dorms or our apartments. And I haven't really thought about this. I feel like I could be wrong, but I feel like most of our life was spent in the gym, or at the time, I think it was called the Carson Center, that kind of was right up next to the stadium. We'd be on one of those floors, whether it was doing homework on one level or going to sit in the ice bath, or we were in the weight room. I feel like most of the time was spent there, but I loved it. You just kind of eat and breathed it.
During your time at ASU, you dealt with your fair share of adversity, injuries. I know you had multiple knee surgeries,
That's right.
but you showed a lot of perseverance. Just when you were facing these challenges, just what kept you going?
Oh, yeah. So I always, it's sweet when people ask you, the little girls come up, ask for autographs. I always signed it with my favorite Bible verse was Philippians 4:13. And a lot of people do know it. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. But it really is a message about contentment. So being content, um, in the good times and the bad times. So being content on the court, or maybe having to cheer your teammates on from the bench the whole time due to injury. And I just feel like the Lord really helped see me through all that. And, you can learn things being injured. You can still learn from watching film and watching practice while you may be on a bike, or they used to have the arm bike where you'd exercise sitting and just move your arms. But um, I think, yeah, it was definitely the Lord that helped me get through all of that, and just seeing the bigger picture, while um, I am so grateful for everything, for my time at ASU, for the administration, for the coaches, for my teammates. But for me personally, and um, I remember when we won that very special game that I talked about at in Eugene. Um, and it was neat, the confetti, in light of March Madness. It's fun to kind of relive that feeling of like, wow, we really succeeded. But it is neat that for me personally, I believe there's even greater ahead. And it's just like these little moments are just a glimpse, of the glory coming. So yeah, I was able to hold on to that Bible verse, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength, whether I'm sitting due to injury or getting to be out there competing.
We talked about this a little bit earlier, but of course you majored in sports broadcasting, which is awesome because we share the same major, so that's pretty cool. How did you decide to go with that as your major?
I I remember little projects from like fourth grade when you had, at least in California, you had to go and do a mission project, the California missions, and um, you could choose to do a report like live. And I think that always stuck with me doing that mission report in fourth grade. I liked getting to present material that way. I really like telling stories, and I love people. Like, I actually would want to interview you, Sam. Like, I want to know more about you. So I really love learning about people and their stories. And so I think that had something to do with it. Not obviously, I didn't mean it that way, but being an athlete, you get to be around. We were, in high school in Orange County, we had local news stations, and um, I forgot about this. This helped me decide. I just remembered this. Um, for like a careers class in high school, you had to go job shadow someone, and I remember it was kind of around when our team was at UCLA team camp for high school. Um, I had to leave early because one of the newscasters for like Channel 5 was going to let me job shadow him. And my dad took me over there, and I'm probably butchering the stations. I feel like it was KTLA or something. And it was really neat and fascinating to just be in the studio and on set and just to see it all. And I think I just wanted to explore that. And like I said, when considering ASU, it was just like the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism. And wow, it was just so fascinating. So I think I was just enamored with all that I could learn, but also I really love people and telling their stories. So I think that's how I decided.
Do you remember any specific broadcasting classes that you took?
So I don't remember the title of it, but I remember the project from it, that we had to create a commercial. And back in the day, there was a game called Mad Gab, and so I did it, basically a commercial to sell that game. But I got to incorporate other student athletes or my roommate who played volleyball, and it was just really fun. Sorry, this is just coming to mind. I do love orchestrating things. And so I loved the piece of like writing a script and the timing. When I was working at ASU, I did a little stint in marketing, and for 2 years when I was getting my MBA, and in the year prior. And that was one of my jobs for women's basketball and for baseball. But during the women's basketball games, I was able to, it's so fun. There's a whole new world outside of actually being an athlete on the court. There's, all the sponsorships and the band and the cheer and coordinating what goes up on the Jumbotron. So yeah, I guess it all kind of blended together. It wasn't necessarily sports casting, but it was kind of like having that script and having to go by that, and the timing was really fun.
I think it's cool that so you got to make a commercial. That is something I have not been able to do.
Oh,
So that's new to me. I'm like, gosh, like where do I take that class?
yes, and please, oh goodness, now I'm embarrassed. That didn't go live. It wasn't put out there for the world. It was just for our
Right.
class.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify.
What would you say is the overall impact that ASU has had on your life?
Aside from knowing the Lord and having a great family and childhood upbringing, ASU was so instrumental for nearly everything. And I don't want to sound like I'm just keep tooting Charlie Turner Thorne's horn, but she, getting back to that like find a way mentality, um, I feel like life can be hard, and you face adversity, and ASU allowed me the opportunity to be first a student, obviously, and grow academically, but then as an athlete to face so much adversity, but learn how to navigate through that and overcome it. And then, I mean, there's no situation, you know what I mean? Like you find a way. And so I think I rely on that little mantra or tidbit from Charlie all the time. And ASU as a whole, I just feel like in the athletics department, um, they just really want all of their student athletes to be so successful. And also, you brought up about Coach Molly Miller already getting integrated with the other teams. I always felt such support from all of the other teams as well. Um, and I felt like I hopefully they felt the same way, that we did the same and supported them. So I feel like ASU and again, it was just my experience. It's just the coolest Sun Devil family. And as a whole, the students and our just your peers and even the professors, I feel like I just felt so blessed to be a part of every bit of ASU. Um, and I feel like I don't want to say it means everything, but it was truly so instrumental in every part of my aspect of my life now. Absolutely.
And you're right that it really does. Feels like a family. Like everyone, we're all just kind of connected, with each other,
Yes.
right? Right? We're
Yes.
repping the maroon and gold.
That's right. That's right. I was so proud when the football team, I guess, when was that? It was really December, wasn't it? We were on a family trip and I could not go out with the family. I had to stay glued in our hotel when they when they were playing. It was just, and I don't know the football coach, but I was so proud of our Sun Devils, when they did so well
Me too, me
for
too. That
football this
was
year.
oh man, what a season that was. That was something special for sure.
I
Uh,
was just going to give a nod also. I had the opportunity to get my MBA there. And um, it was the sports business program in 2005 to 2007. Another great academic community. Just I learned so much from those 2 years. And gosh, my colleagues in that program, they're all off doing amazing things. And it is, we're all connected. And I loved and it's not fake networking. I just feel like people are genuine. I just love the relationships. And you may not talk to them for 5 years, but you can pick up right where you left off. And yeah, such good memories.
yes, absolutely. After college, you've mentioned this a couple times, but after college, you got to go play overseas. You got to play in Norway and Germany, which is super awesome. What was that all like?
Goodness. You've done your research. You're bringing up all these things. Um, gosh, what that was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. I had the opportunity out of my senior year to um, I think I had an opportunity with I think it was Viacom at the time to kind of go into that color, play-by-play color opportunity. Um, and Sandy Hatfield Club, our SWA at the time, was helping me kind of wrestle through decisions at that time. And I had the opportunity to go play in Norway, and I was like, what do I do? And ultimately, I chose to go play in Norway, and it was the most beautiful experience that first year. I played with a former teammate. She's Norwegian. Her true name is Nana, but she went by Christina Sand. She was a couple years older than me. She was a junior, I believe, when I started as a freshman. So I got to reunite with her and play with her on the same team over there for the Oslo Queens. And it was truly one of the most beautiful years of my life. Their snow there is like Disneyland diamond snow. It's just so magical. And I had never known really what a fjord is, but it's, when the water freezes over and again, a little faith-based nod. I got to read my Bible cover to cover. So the first part of the season, I'd been a Christian since I was 4, but I'd never read my Bible from, cover to cover. And I got to read the Old Testament in the first half of the season, came home for Christmas break, and then went back and got to read the New Testament. So just grew in just reading God's word and again, relationships. I had the best teammates. I had absolutely the best teammates over there. So, and we did really well. We actually played well, and that was fun. And then I had the other opportunity the next year to go play in Germany. Um, Fun fact, um, back in the day, UCSB. Well, you may know Corey Close. She did really well for you. They just were in the tournament. She used to be at UCSB in Santa Barbara, and her and Mark French had recruited me, and I played one of my first basketball camps was at their camp that they hosted, and just everything comes full circle. But one of the coaches of that basketball camp when I was in high school, fast forward, he was the head coach running the program in Germany. So he ends up being the coach that I played for in Germany, which was really neat. And um, some other fun facts. You're only allowed two foreigners per team, but we had a Danish teammate who actually played at UCSB. Her name's Jess Hansen. Um, and it was awesome. Another incredible experience getting to see Europe. Over there, I feel like they train fast and furiously. So you have shorter practices, they're really intense. But then I don't know if it's a blessing just to the foreigners on the team, but we were able to have a few days to travel and see other parts of Europe. So you're playing and competing definitely and doing morning workouts, but then they gave you little bits of time to run to Paris really quick and see the world. It was fascinating.
That's awesome. It's so cool. When you were playing overseas, what were the biggest things that stood out to you about Norway and Germany from a cultural standpoint?
From a cultural standpoint, goodness, I remember, I feel, and I don't mean any disrespect to Americans or us as living here. I really appreciated how outdoorsy they were. There was always an opportunity to walk places. I feel like there was just safe passages everywhere. It wasn't like you had to, I feel like some places there's just not even a sidewalk for pedestrians. I feel like it's very walking friendly, or I'm going to butcher the word, but it's when you're walking and you're not skiing. I never did it, but everyone's outside and doing things and exercising. And this isn't necessarily like cultural, but I do remember they eat sandwiches open faced. So I started doing that for a long time. Once I got back stateside, I was like, oh, I didn't put the top piece of bread on top. Like they ate everything open faced. Um, I think just the beauty of, I feel like things were more fresh food. Like I went to the market a lot more and just little things like that I take back. I'm sure right after we finish this conversation, I'll remember a slew of things, but those are things that come top of mind. And I'm trying to think specifically in Germany, um, the cars. I feel we had a little tiny smart car that even just at 6'2", I think the sunroof, my head could fit out. So this would be one thing culturally. Things were more compact, and I feel like they were definitely more conscious about like recycling or breaking things down, and not having things so extravagant.
From 2011 to 2014, this is something that I thought was really interesting. You got to be an athletic director at a high school,
Oh
which is
yeah.
super cool. Like, how did that come about?
Yeah. Gosh, and this even feels so long ago. That's almost 10, 11 years ago. So after the MBA program, which I did study for sports business, Sandy Hatfield had hired me, Club had hired me out to Des Moines, Iowa to work at Drake University in the athletic administration. And I was the athletics business manager. And so what was really neat about being in that position is, and I'm sure Sandy just allowed me to be in a lot of neat conversations and just in the room, right? So I got to observe her doing her job as, I think at the time there were only about 34 Division I female athletic directors, and just observing how she handled a lot of the business. And I was privy to a lot of that being the athletics business manager, so exposed to every facet of the athletic department. Um, I mean, really from compliance to hiring to firing. So kind of getting that right out of the gate after MBA school was amazing. And I was so grateful for that opportunity. And I was there 2 years. And the only reason I left was I got married and um, moved to Indiana. And we lived in Carmel, Indiana for just a short stint. But then my husband took a job in Evansville, Indiana, which I had never been to. And his athletic director, who he played for, his name was Johnny Evers. He had been the AD at this school locally, Castle High School in Southern Indiana. For 17 years, he'd been the AD and was just retiring when we happened to move here and move into town. And yeah, just a neat experience of interviews. And I think they definitely hadn't had a female athletic director before, but it was neat to break into that mold. And the school is, I mean, there were like 3,000 students, 42 different teams, like different levels, and 80 coaches. We probably had 500 or 600 athletes. And it's very different from the college world where you have departments and, leaders, and you are that department. You wear all of the hats for ticketing, making the money boxes and dealing with compliance issues, or, you do it all. So, and um, it was, it was a really neat experience. But yeah, it just happened to be that the gentleman locally was retiring right when we moved to town. And obviously, favor from the Lord that doors open for me to get in there. But yeah, that's kind of the storyline behind that.
What were the most important things you learned from that experience of being an AD?
So I think anyone would probably agree that being an administrator can be really tough. There's a lot of fires to put out. Um, Obviously, as in life, things don't go as planned. Weather completely destroys all plans, right? And then you're in the midst of rescheduling everything. Um, I think it taught me about just even navigating relationships again, even better. So being able to diffuse situations and hear people's stories, and just know that usually people come from, I know I'm getting probably in the weeds here, but that's probably the biggest thing I learned is really how to, because I think athletics it gets everyone passionate. So um, I feel like it taught me how to put out fires well, and to um, just to listen and to understand where people are coming from. I, I haven't really, that's a great question. I'm going to be thinking about that even further, and I'll say, oh, I wish I shared this, but I think, yeah, it taught me that. And I also, this isn't something I learned necessarily. It's something I wanted to impart um, to those sweet student athletes, because um, not everyone would be able to go on and play in college or beyond, but I really was so proud of those student athletes, and I just tried to share with them. Um, and it's something Charlie taught us at ASU. I'm going to butcher her story, but I remember being in the locker room and her asking us who won, the NCAA championship 6 years prior when we're in the locker room, and or who won the Olympics in this or that. And a lot of us didn't know the answers. But then she asked something as simple as, who's been there for you when you've been down? And, you start knowing immediately one of your teammates that's been there for you. And so that's the thing I just wanted to also share with the students, that, all the wins and losses, you may not remember every detail, but you're going to remember who you journeyed with it, and just for them to have fun. But I mean, it's not just like, okay, don't go out and lose every game. No, I'm joking, but to really just do everything with excellence. And so um, that, and I just remembered in a roundabout way, what else did I learn? Being someone that likes to do everything with excellence. Um, when you're kind of one, maybe one and a half, if you have an assistant for part of a day, um, you can't necessarily do everything to the way you'd want everything done. So I had to learn how to prioritize. So I'd say I walked away with that too.
It's fantastic, fantastic. You've also been a film producer, which I
Oh,
think is really cool. Um, like, how did you get into film producing, and what are some of the films that you've been able to work on?
oh my goodness. That was just something really neat. I had resigned from being an AD to stay home. My husband just asked if I would consider staying home with our daughter. Reagan was born. And so I finished out my season through baseball season. Our team kept winning. And I think I was about to maybe have Ramsey, our second kiddo. Um, and there was an opportunity locally They were some talented individuals from our church that we were attending, and um, I was able to be a part. Well, and they were connected with something called For Evansville, which is a neat nonprofit in our area. And really, the films, all of them had a focus of raising awareness. And so the first one that I was able to be a part of, um, I didn't really have a background in it, but I do love telling stories and I love details. And I went to the first meeting and I remember the director. I came with it's all highlighted. That's what the teammates would remember about me too. I just highlighted everything when studying, but I I went through and color coded this entire thing. And I don't have any background in producing, but I met them for lunch and he said, he was pretty surprised what it looked like. I guess it looks like what a director's notes would look like or something. So it was just again the favor of the Lord. And I said, no, this is just my thing that I made up. And from there, they let me be a part of the film process and producing again goes back to kind of what I was doing courtside for ASU. Right before getting into the MBA program, I had just come back from Norway and Germany, and I was an assistant marketing director there, and it's just doing that kind of play by play script where you're bringing in all the different pieces. And so I was able to do that for these films where you're bringing in the actors, helping with their wardrobe, making sure everybody stays on schedule so you don't run over budget. So you just or I'd be a fine tooth comb, combing the script for edits. And so the first film we did was raising awareness about the foster care system locally, here in Evansville, at least at the time. There were, I think, almost 1,000, somewhere in the 900 range, kiddos without homes. And so raising awareness for people to consider being foster families, and for those foster families that were currently families, really helping raise awareness that you didn't necessarily have to be a foster family and bring a kiddo into your home. You could support someone that was already doing that, like give them respite care or go get groceries for them or run their laundry. So just they were all films about raising awareness. I'm trying to think of all the titles. Different things on. We actually did one, a really neat one on just being a good neighbor. Um, and then there was a piece during COVID, isolation and kind of a drug awareness one. So yeah, it was really neat. They're short. They're about 5, 6 minutes long, but they're pretty powerful. And I
Eh,
was so blessed to be a part of it.
what does it mean to you to be able to tell those stories about those very important issues?
Well, again, I was like allowed and privileged to be a part of the team. The gentleman, John Betchers, the writer and the director. I hope he doesn't see this because right now he's escaping my brain, his name, but the director, um, I mean, it was all their vision, but to be a part of that was incredible because even if just a few of those kiddos found homes because of that, or if people started praying about it and considering it, and down the road, somebody gets to not sleep in what we call DCS, gets to be in a home. I mean, it's worth it. So it was just so awesome. And it really touched my heart too. I learned a lot. I know I keep speaking about the one film, but um, I really learned a lot through all of it. And um, yeah, maybe even my husband and I and our family will get to welcome a foster kiddo into our home too.
Do you think there are going to be any more any more films in the future that you'll be able to work on like more these kind of projects?
Yeah. Um, it's so fun. I feel like I've known you forever, Sam. I'm sure I'm sharing everything with you. Um, I do believe I have that desire in my heart. Um, and I do believe that there will be an opportunity to continue doing that just because he's given me that desire. I think that will pan out. Right now I'm fully engaged with raising our 3 kiddos. I happen to homeschool, so I'm doing that from dawn to dusk. Our oldest is 11. She's awesome in 5th grade. Ramsey, he's 9 and in 3rd grade, and I've got a 5-year-old who's in pre-K, about to start kindergarten in the fall. So Um, but I'm excited to see little pockets where I will be able to explore that again. And yeah, I definitely I think I'm going to be able to do that, but I don't have anything in the works right now.
For sure, for sure. As we've been talking here, kind of throughout this, you've mentioned how important your faith, has been. Just, like just if you could put into words, just how important has your faith impacted you personally throughout your life and your journey?
Wow. It's absolutely everything. I was fortunate to get to know the Lord at 4 years old. Again, I'm from Southern California, so it was at the Angel Stadium. They might not even call it the Angel Stadium anymore. It's in Anaheim, California, and an evangelist at the time, Billy Graham, had come to town, and my brother was being born, and so so my mom couldn't go with my dad, and my dad took me, and that's where I gave my life to the Lord as a 4 year old. And so I was raised in the church and went to a church called EV Free. The pastor's Chuck Swindoll from back in the day. And I just felt like every bit of my life, I've just had, um, I've just known that the Lord's been by my side. He's for me. Like, who can be against me? He's for me. And um, he also says he'll never leave you nor forsake you. And so, okay, whatever you're going through, he will never leave you nor forsake you. So, um, it's literally everything. I mean, my faith, he's the giver of my breath. So it's everything. And I'm so grateful for the people that have poured into me spiritually and have led me in that way. And yeah, it's my source of life. So literally everything.
Hey, absolutely, absolutely. Last question here. What is the single biggest piece of advice that you have for aspiring basketball players?
Oh my goodness. Okay. Ooh. So I think it would be, hmm, let's see. I don't know if this can be the single one. Can I have a kind of a twofer?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh, okay, thanks. Um, One thing that I think is so powerful, and I don't know, um, I just really appreciate rebounding. And I think Charlie also appreciated that. I think if you can learn to rebound, and I know probably people will disagree with this statement, but the people in the world of basketball, I feel like somebody taught me this cute phrase like, um, offense wins awards. Typically, your people that are really strong offensively are going to win those awards, the MVPs. Um, and defense will win your games. I think this might have all come from Charlie, but rebounding is what wins the championships. And I have always just really gravitated towards that, that if I'm rebounding the ball defensively for my team, okay, then we get to go on offense, right? And then if I'm really getting after it, if my teammate has missed a shot, um, and I rebound, that we get another opportunity to score. And so I feel like I used to do some private training and now I've got my own kids. I feel like if you can understand that, like if I can get after the boards and rebound on both ends of the court, you're in good shape and you might get to see a lot of playing time because learning to box out effectively, I think is awesome. So I don't know, but I think the other kind of overarching thing that I would share is just do the little things right. Do everything with excellence. If you've got to run, they call them all different things, but when you're running for conditioning, um, like don't cut corners, like touch the line, and come back. Just do everything with excellence and just work on those fundamentals. Like you don't have to be fancy or showy. You can just shoot and like do the little things right.
Thank you so much. I mean, getting to share this time with you and converse with you, such an honor, and I had an absolute blast getting to talk with you today.
Same here.
I mean,
Oh, well,
thank
same
you
here,
so much.
Sam. Thank you. Take care.